morning, class. Welcome to Homeroom with Unc and Market Monk.
Morning, P. How's your week?
Oh, pretty good. It was a little slow for me, and then Amba, closed the week out nicely. Um, so a lot of selling stuff I've had for a while, MDB and Snow. Just went ahead and cleared out most of that, and still just sort of in a park and wait, buying more smalls than big stuff now. Sort of sell mode on some of the bigger things, but smalls looking pretty good.
Nice. Yeah, I had I did- one of those times again. I talked about it a little bit with Nvidia, but it happens all the time. To be honest, I should cover that a little bit more. But had the weed thesis going into the weekend, and he ended up talking about the World Cup. But come Monday, the weed charts were still up 10%. So all those entries did good even without the thesis, and a couple of them continued
Yeah.
throughout the week. Played open. I thought I was going to get a little bit more of the open, but as soon as that 465 failed, no volume, it just kind of got unattractive about Wednesday. Um, and then pretty much with you on the selling, not because of um, anything market related, just because you do this for 3 4 weeks, do this for 3 4 months, you just end up with so many positions open, and you kind of got to manage that and um, just say thank you. There'll be another setup. Um, I don't like getting 20% and then going 16 24%, 16 24%, and then in the long run ending up at 27 or 28%. That last 7% just seems like a waste of time to me, and those are kind of pulling numbers out my ass a little bit, but that's usually what happens in those consolidation moments for trades I'm in. So just let it set up. We'll be back. Kind of pivot a little bit there. Secondary has done a great job this week, I've noticed, and kind of the last month, just like seeing that foresight when we start talking about plays and letting it set up, and just kind of the back on
Yeah.
the radar, as you say.
Yeah, absolutely. And just real quick on, to go off what you said,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
take something like MDB. I mean, yeah, I do have pivots above. Well, I have one pivot above, and it's kind of in the middle of this zone now. But I mean, it was under
Yeah.
$220 a couple days ago, and it's 315.
I,
So
I,
I mean, what are you going to do with that? I mean,
a
because
couple of us
it could
bought
very easily,
shares.
yeah,
I'm not
right,
holding on to those. Look at that candle.
yeah. I know. And so I mean it could revisit this 285 spot. It becomes a really good option trade up here. But yeah, I mean I don't really have a reason to keep those shares. It could it could go claim that 380, it could go back to 400,
You could,
whatever. I
it
mean
could
like
go to
you
220
can get back
again.
in.
Go to 220
Exactly. Yeah,
again.
right. Been here. In fact, I had people asking me back here when it was pushing 500 about going long, like 700C. And I was like, I don't have a reason for that. And then, we saw what happened. So, same company, they do the same shit. The perception about, their numbers and their growth and, all that, that market sentiment about them and then SAS in particular, has just changed. And so it's, to the upside now. Um, Trade Desk, FTNT, they got obliterated. I'd rather look at buying them than staying in MDB. So that's just me.
I'd seen a thing on Twitter this weekend, and they were in it's like an AI Mag 7 is what they were calling it, something like that, and they were actually in
Yeah.
it. I was surprised. They were the surprising name in that group for me. Um,
Yeah. I mean the float 78 million shares. So yeah, for them to get listed with the big dogs. I mean, I originally found them. It was after they had a big move on earnings, and I was into Snow at the time, and I thought it'd be a good complement to Snow, and I just sort of liked how it moved, and kind of the rest was history on that. But yeah,
yeah,
this these smaller floats like this, they can really take off on ER. I mean, in both directions, and then you do often get the follow through after that with them. So definitely good ones to keep in mind.
It's called the new Mag 7 of Agentic AI, Agent IC AI.
Yeah, that's like, I guess, the creation of AI using AI agents instead of individual software. It's like
Okay.
you just tell it
To do it.
what
It
you
does it.
need,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's connected to this cloud software and makes whatever it is,
Okay, so
without you
what?
having to know
So
anything.
professor's test of the day. What are the 7 companies that these guys are putting in there? I gave you one. I gave you a hard one too. No, no searching.
Yeah,
No
I'm
searching.
not searching shit. I'm not searching.
Off your dome. I think you'll get them all but one.
Okay. So they're new now. So they're new. So that means that like they wouldn't be your like traditional
You know
Mag
every
7,
company
right?
on this
So like
list. Every company on this list you've typed in this computer in the last 2 weeks.
all right, let me think. Let me think. Well, it's got to be Palantir,
Yes.
Cloudflare,
Yep. Halfway.
Snow.
Yep.
Hmm.
The other one.
Oh shit, CrowdStrike.
Yeah.
CrowdStrike.
Yeah.
So it's basically like a lot of the original SaaS basket.
The other two you probably won't get just because the one is kind of off and the other one I don't know. Um, but they put Tesla in there. That's the big one, or the bigger one.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. Yeah, that's kind of the off one. And then Exxon, AXON.
Well, yeah, yeah. So Palantir kind of makes me think of them because they've been in the group. They do. I originally like they made tasers, but they do a lot of aerospace defense software stuff. So
Oh, like they got a
they're into
two-part
like
business.
electrical weapons. Yeah, yeah, but they have cloud and mobile So like the software that goes in the drones that uses their tasers on protesters or whatever the fuck, like I mean, but
Yeah, I thought.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting list because it's a lot of what we talk about and a lot of room for growth on those charts.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of we sort of had it. The thesis was slightly
Different.
different. It wasn't even AI related, but we had crowd and net and MDB and snow, all together as like a sector look, and
I think it was
and
more
part of that was
software as a service, right? That's
me.
what we called it.
Yeah, 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 that's right. And so that originally for me came from just looking at sectors and technology, and I was like, I can't do anything with this sect as a sector. I mean, that's ridiculous. There's just too much. So then the subsector thing started to come off for me, and that was one of our better ones, and especially the share option combo is always good. The flow reads are there, so um, yeah, to see them get a piece of AI is interesting, and it speaks to something else we talked about, which was the hardware side of AI had this huge move, and software was trying to figure out their story to go with it, and how are we going to make this profitable and build that excitement about our potential growth using this stuff, rather than what's happened with Adobe, which is people seeing AI as like, well, why do I need Adobe if AI can do all this stuff? Um, so how companies position themselves around that is, really something to follow. And database is a keyword. So that cloud database, AI, like all that stuff, keeping, rather than your computer being this constantly more and more powerful little box, you just connect to servers that do all that work for you. So, so yeah, good find. I love that list.
Yeah, I it's like when we're kind of it makes sense, or you can kind of see it, even if it is the little like Quantum. Quantum's probably the last one where I was like, all right, let's calm down, Star Trek. But the thesis made sense, and it the charts are in great shape. So I like that list because some of those charts are in a good spot. And like if you say, I mean, Mag 7's probably a bit of a reach, but when you say that and you go like look at those
Right.
charts, hard to find an entry or whatever. But just having that kind of basket, maybe that kind of outlook, good 2 or 3 year plan in some of those companies, I think you'll do fine.
Yeah, and the original quantum list was Rigetti, IonQ, IBM, and Honeywell,
Yeah.
and then you got that QUBT and QBTS, which I didn't bottom tick those or anything, but I sort of saw them latching onto that, and then the flow was just nuts on them. So that particular thesis had something for everybody for sure. Even if you want your boring grandpa computer stock, it was in that too.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to look at the ones that even if they're like I could go the other way and like silver, it just made so much sense. Like, what are we even doing? Um, the gold made just as much sense, but just silver was in a better spot, and you kind of see how that pans out when you have those theses. But the back end, I mean, you can have the best thesis in the world. For me, if the chart's not in a good spot, it really doesn't matter. Um, yeah. What's up, Bitcoin? Sorry.
On IonQ, I originally like I started buying it. God, I think it was like $4 above your number, back when it was under 15, and I bought it all the way down, and um, with the plan to say that I'll okay, this number sucks at Uncas, but it probably is right. And so I just kept, I just bought and bought and bought and bought, and then it took off, and then people now are talking about it's ready to break out, um, which just is a style like we say. And but yeah, I'm always I'm kind of looking for uh, the next thing, and sometimes the next thing is not going to be as explosive. If we get into hamburgers, which I think we probably
It's
will,
not going to be as
into the
explosive.
spring. No,
Yeah.
no, but it'll be good, and you can get 20-30% recovery on some of those, but yeah, I mean, but that to me doesn't matter. I mean, I think that you just want that next sector that we can study and trade as a group and plan around, and whether it's the one that goes 400% or the one that goes 15 to 30 and takes you know 6 months, I'm fine with that, because you just got to stick to the process. um, you don't force it. You don't then look at oh well, okay, so wow, look at all these EV charts.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy all those, because look at where they used to be priced. I mean, that you have to have a more of a more of a reason than that, than to just pile in, um, because it's down.
Yeah, no, it's down. Pile in. What's up, Rivian? What's up, Plug?
Yeah, yeah,
um,
right, yeah, yeah.
yeah, no, I do have the one note I had this week, and I didn't know how to inject it, but it kind of works here. I'll let you run with the ball a little bit on it, but um, you gotta perfect what you're doing before you pivot. If you're just constantly pivot, you might be half-ass at a bunch of things, but if you really just like stick to one thing, and I always tell people to start as simple as possible. Pick a size, 10, 100 shares, something that doesn't really fuck with your brain, and just take 10%, sell half of it, stop loss at entry, and then manage that trade, because you're going to have a green trade, you're going to have a free trade, and you're going to be able to work on things. It's called practice. But you got to perfect that style or perfect something. And I guess you could do it with options. Maybe it's a little different. Um, Probably not selling half. Probably taking a little bigger percent and selling all. Um,
So
but
you
you got to perfect
well, yeah. So
any process. before you just jump around, because that jumping around,
Yes.
you're not learning any skills.
No, exactly. And I think for on the option side of things, um the way that I tend to look at it is, unless I call it a quick hitter, which I use that term sometimes. If it's an actual, like, this is a trade, pivot, plan, flush below line, do that, whatever. I like to be sized where I can have 3 to 5 contracts, and all but one are gone on the initial move. Sell into a strong candle, and then I let the runner, or you roll it depending on the expiration. But the thing is, you already know
Sure.
going into it how I'm going to do this. And am I with those contracts? Sometimes I'll buy more time on the calls, and then I'll just have a put, if to a level or whatever. And I'll have a different stop strategy there than if I'm just like, just looking for that initial strong move in the first 30 minutes. But regardless, like, you already know, if this happens, I'm doing this. If this happens, I'm doing that. You don't just pile in and then start letting that magical thinking, well, if this recovers, or, oh, this is red, I'm going to average down. And you're just sort of, you're just making decisions as things come along. I mean, you have to know, you have to plan 3 pitches ahead,
Yeah.
and if they do this, I'll do this. If they do that, I'll do that. And it's why I write notes the way I do instead of alerts. Um, Alerts, they just buy it, and then they're like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so that doesn't work, particularly in options. It does not work.
Kind of use the base.
One Oh, go
Let
ahead.
me
Yeah.
bump off that real quick. Kind of use the baseball analogy because I know it's right in your wheelhouse, but um, you get up to the plate, and the count changes or whatever, the trade changes. You still have the same plan. Like, if we needed a base hit,
Yeah.
we still got to get a base hit. If we just need to get a guy on base, whether it's a walk or not, we still need that. If we need to, whatever the plan was doesn't change. And that really relates to trading for me, because things are going to happen after you enter the trade. Hopefully, you're going to get a big pop. And if you don't already have a plan for that, or stick to your plan, you're just going to get washed around with the market a little bit. And I think that in general kind of kills people. And for me, the whole point of that sentence, or the comment there, is, for me, there's only one thing I mean, there's a few things, but really, like, 80% of what changes my plan is one thing, and it has nothing to do with, like, any news or anything someone's going to post on Twitter. I'm watching volume and levels. That's what's going to change it for me. If the volume stays in, it looks like we have the momentum to gap up, or the interest to gap up in that stock or hit another channel. That's the only thing that's going to keep me in. The other stuff is just noise. It really is. And probably relates a little bit to your side, because you see what the whales do, and if they stay active or walk, I think that's what you always say. The whales are walking away. Um, it's a trait that you should probably walk away from too.
Yeah, and I had this conversation about MSTR, I think on Thursday, but it was, that 334 spot. It wasn't dipping to that pivot, even though Bitcoin was fading to end the day. And then I looked at the volume, and it was about a fourth of its normal volume. So there wasn't enough activity in the stock to pull it down to the pivot. And I just said, like, I would be shocked if we don't see this pivot tomorrow. And then it, pre-market dipped to like 325 or whatever, and opened around the pivot, and you sort of worked around that. But it was because everybody was in software, like the whales included. They were
Mm-hmm.
all in Snow and MDB and all that, and they were, you know, their attention was off of crypto, which, crypto's not in a great spot. We'll have that conversation. But so even though, and heck, Bitcoin fell 3% on Friday, MSTR barely budged. And it's because they're to me, like, I'm looking at them and they're kind of working around that pivot. But again, like the volume too, I never used to pay attention to it whatsoever. Option volume only, but it really does, you know, kind of show you. You just look at like LLY. Why is LLY going from minus 0.4%? One candle sends it to up 0.2%, and then that candle's instantly gone because there's no volume. It's all,
Hmm.
it's just sort of, ticking around. There's no momentum, either direction. And it's not even like like not all consolidation is the same. I've kind of picked this up.
Oh,
Like
sure.
sometimes consolidation is a real tug of war between two sides that are like, just going at it. And other times there's just nobody in the room.
Yep.
So it just sits there. And you don't want to be where it just sits there. I don't care if it's shares or options. You, we got plenty of stuff to trade, and you can just walk away, and they'll be back at it next week. So, um, totally with you on that.
Yeah, it just
Yeah.
we never really say stuff like that, and we get a lot of that after the fact. But like, look at this X, Y, or Z. Doesn't this change the plan? And no, the plan was the plan.
Yeah.
The weed one this weekend is that, I mean, I literally don't usually divulge that much. Like, guys, I'm buying weed during market hours. This is exactly why, and this is what I'm gonna do when I take this money next week. I usually don't do that, and trust me, I just took the money.
In particular, we'll give it back.
Yeah,
I
hundred
had a
percent.
I had a question um, about re-entering after. So earnings, you get the pop and fade, and I
Mm-hmm.
love to trade the pop and fade for options. I did with Ulta. You can look at my note. I said, this is up not much. It looks a little vulnerable. I'm looking for a flush early. Well, it closed down 7%, so it went well beyond that. I didn't trade that whole move. I only traded basically the first 15-minute drop, hop in and out. $300 becomes $900, and I'm perfectly happy with that. But I on those moves where you get, a really good pre-market move. Ideally, you have shares that you can just sell after hours or
Mm-hmm.
pre-market.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get it gives up the move,
Mm-hmm.
closes flat on the day, and then someone's like, "Hey, what about it here?" Usually, I mean, we entered that a long time ago. We're well above a pivot. A stock popping 12% or 15%
Mm-hmm.
and closing flat is not appealing to me. Like I just don't. I mean, I don't really see
So I have
the
I have
advantage to
I
that.
have Victoria. I got one that we're working on. I mean, it's active now. It's Victoria's Secret. We bought it below the
Yeah.
below the 18 dailies. Everything you just said, pre-market move. On Thursday, we got a big move, selling to that pop. Flushes right back to where it opened at the day before. If you use our auto RTL, pretty much stayed inside that area. So for me, I think it's Cryption that asked, "What do I do here?" And for me, I'm okay with re-entering this. I would like to give it another more than like the initial day, right? Unless it's just the report is too good to be true and the move doesn't match it. But I like to give it a couple days so I can ask you, do you have the top end of where we just were? Is 25 active? And then the 20 to 25 trade does become appealing to me on a Victoria's Secret if you're fresh. I would much rather, though, have you in this 17, 18 area half out and just holding that extra half at this point with like a 20 or a 1990 stop loss or something like that. That would be the better way. But I mean, I like that setup, P, but it has to just have that. I mean, it's kind of like you in the ER setup. It's got to look a certain way. Like that, like they had a trip. Victoria's Secret had a triple beat. Like they shouldn't have. The first move was the right one, not the second move that happened there. But it's probably just profit takers. People are taking a 50% trade in 4 months. Whoever, whether it be they or retail. So
This where it had this massive move on on ER, some follow through, but then within days, gave it all back, and you were, in this kind of 320 area, and then it just kind of broke down further from there. But you talk about, giving it time, and it was, this ER move in particular, um, you know, it's getting more appealing now to me as I look back and I see, in this 280 area, um, that was about where I originally sold the rest of what I had. So, maybe it sets up back here, but I mean, yeah, the pop and fades can get really nasty
What's
on the fade part.
what's the difference between the two companies we're talking about, P? I'll tell you. It's going to tell you why I don't trade Duolingo. Yeah, it's on your screen. It's right there.
Um,
It's right there.
the volume
No,
or the float?
PE.
What's that?
Your price to
Oh,
earnings
okay. Yeah, yeah.
134. Pull up Victoria's
Gotcha.
Secret. It's probably 13 or
Right,
15.
right. Yeah, yeah.
The
No, I
market
got you.
is priced at a 30 right now.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm not really looking, especially around
Yeah.
ERs, things that are that overvalued. Just in general, that's just in general why I would look at something like Funko too kind of comes up on that list, right? Like it's just so undervalued. Where the it's just a difference in companies too. I mean, Duolingo, they don't really have a lot of overhead. So if they nail it,
Yeah.
they can catch up to
Yeah.
that PE a little quicker than the underwear company can. Um, yeah, it's kind of cup of tea though for me on that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I just it's hard for me to a lot of those become like you when you give up the whole move,
Yeah.
it becomes a 50-50 trade until I have a reason and flow, and that usually takes a while. So it's not a next day thing
No,
typically
no, I
for
think
me.
it's 3 or 4 for
Um,
you for that to pan out usually.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. But yeah, I mean, at the same time though, like a lot of our stuff that we find, if you want it, you're gonna have to pay more for it because they're setups that tend to hold together for a while. So, um, especially the swing setups are not gonna constantly keep failing. If it's a backside trade, that's a term I like that you kind of gave me. Like, that's a little different. And that my plan on Enphase changed a lot based on that idea because why like I like the 32 entry, but I don't hold the 32 looking for 60 or 70 anymore. You got to pretty much get out towards 40 and then you do it again. First Solar, better company, better setup, but still 200 is a problem right now. And
mhm.
yeah, there's flow at 250 and 270 beyond, but you can trade 4 or 5 attempts at that 200 spot rather than just hold it the whole way.
Yeah, no, I'm actually kind of okay with you trading in phase like this week or currently, just because those other two that we've talked about, the trade happened. We're way over 10 on
Yeah.
fucking run, and Enphase
Oh
or
yeah. Yeah.
FSLR 200 auto RTL 201 auto RTL was always the target. So yeah, you kind of rotate to the better chart, right? In that regard, you should have positions in both of those companies. If you got some runners, let them run. And so now I get it, And Solar's, I mean, newsworthy. P. Even though you always say it's one thing I have picked up from you is you always say like when everyone fucking hates it, buy, and I mean it's just like a better way to say your best entry is a red candle. Like when the FUD's at peak max, and you're starting to get that with Solar, in my opinion.
I
Not
mean
to pivot us to Solar,
the
but
the the Twitter punchlines, I
yeah,
mean
yeah,
that's always good. And then you don't want to buy on the oh wow, oh wow, silver broke 40. Wow. Like and those euphoric posts like that. You want to kind of avoid those. But yeah, when sentiment on hymns got real negative, there was a second trade there, whereas I hadn't looked at that in months, and I'm like, oh, this is going to reach a spot where it's going to retrace 20% pretty quickly, I think.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
and then the Palantir, I mean, we what are we even doing with, when we talked about that? But if that one declines enough, it's going to be interesting again. SMCI, that was one too that was a big joke, going to zero, Ponzi, whatever. So I caught a lot of that first move up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, when people really started to hate that, I mean, you got probably $20 off of when we were talking about it into the 50s. So yeah, I'm with you on that. Those sentiment checks.
The one thing I will say about the especially both of the ones we're talking about, the ER overreactions, it's kind of what I call them, and the FUD trades. Both of those though are percent trades for me. Like, you're not, most of those charts you're not buying for long term positions in those moments. It just creates so much range that there's going to be a trade in there, and you're at the bottom of that range usually. Um, the ratio checks out. So for me, like, that's a note in that trade is like, this is a trade, short term swing or whatever. It's not holding hope, investing in a company type thing. Because they're just going to be revisited. Snow's a good example. Like, I do have snow. I don't have a lot, but we've traded that so many times that if I would have just been holding my first entry, or what I wanted to keep, um, yeah, I would have been a hell of a ride, and I think I've done better just trading the chart.
I mean, absolutely, you wouldn't want to keep doing the round trip. I mean, same with MSTR. I mean, for me,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
original pre split entry is ridiculous, and I got a great move out of that, but I sold over 400 post split, completely out, and now sitting here, at that that whatever it is, 340 spot, and yeah, I don't want to sit here and hold that shit all the way through that.
No.
I would rather just re-enter it. I mean, like I did around the election,
Yeah.
sold again on this pop, and then now I'm looking for round three at a higher low. That's
I had a better example
pretty
for
much
you
how I'm
is
doing it.
LLY, because that probably will be $1,000 stock.
Oh
But
yeah,
but the
yeah,
ride,
yeah,
but the ride, Jesus.
yeah.
And I'm sure you've done
Uh,
better trading the chart.
yes, and I abandoned an idea I had, on so these really pricey ones. It's like I want to get to, when it splits, I'll have a couple hundred shares,
Yes, yes, yes.
and then I'll sell calls. But they just did so well that what am I waiting on that for? I mean, it was pushing $900, so uh, yeah, I'm not just gonna give that back. But yeah, no, I definitely, if it's an account and something I check every day, I am not gonna hold through those rides, the Rokus of the world.
Oh God, no.
No, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I pay per hand that thing every time, and I've never felt bad about a Roku trade.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you just think 2 seconds about what Roku is, um, you know, you say thank you and move on, and just appreciate the range.
Exactly. I see you got some boring stuff up over there.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll just we'll victory lap for a minute here. Let me get off the minute chart on this, but um, silver making a move like that. We talked about it. I mean, we talked about 32, talked about 36, and it didn't even tap 36. Took off from 38. So yeah, great shape there. Gonna get harder and harder to enter, those things, but miners do give you some spots to
Yeah,
do it,
yeah.
particularly in news reactions and things. So sector's still very healthy, and gold breaking 3,500. This can go on and on, and I certainly would not look to short either one of those. I just think you have a different kind of trade, or you're just holding and enjoying the ride,
Yeah, I'm with
or
you
you
on the
just
miners.
open your safe and look at
Yeah,
your physical gold and silver and smile. That's what you do.
I'm with you on the miners for scalp trades. They're definitely range still there, and they're finally like the rubber's hitting the road, as I always say there.
Yeah, yeah.
The other ones, there's some of them that
Uh,
are just hard to enter because of the original price. I have that problem.
yes, and particularly like Barrett Gold,
Yeah,
and
15.
Koss, they're they're so involved in the whole market that rather than just pulling it out of the ground, that they're going to be more robust and not going to give you that same range. So they're just going to grind up, and you can trade that. It actually works better for options, but anyway, yeah. If anyone wants to do that, they can talk to me. Copper, yeah, I'm looking mid candle on. I don't know about you, but $5 kind of needs a reason. I think we'll probably get the reason, but still some opportunities there.
Yeah, TA side's
Some I
got
like more than others.
it's got to test 5 just by the way it looks. 520's decision point for if
Yeah.
we're gonna have a higher high there, but you have a higher low forming, so not bad.
Yep.
Similar to the move that happened last May April. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, look, it's just
Yeah, and
that's
we're
an uptrend with some big ass pullbacks.
yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, and that's just how copper's always worked. So yeah, there's something to look for there. Uh, Natural gas, nice little move of late. Still, just kind of waiting on the big story. I think I just accumulate the combo stocks and wait it out. I still avoid the leveraged ETFs. This because I mean natural gas can drop 6% overnight out of nowhere, and so what's 6 times 3? That's what you're losing,
Yeah, yeah.
plus the decay of the shares. So all of that is just bad for the leverage positions to me. Maybe day trades are all right on those, but yeah, I don't like to swing that stuff. And uranium, doing kind of what we talked about. Night is young here. I think you kind of feel the same way.
Yeah. There's kind of two sectors in the nuclear for me. I don't know if you see it that way,
Yeah.
but it feels like we have two different sectors, and they kind of like one gets oversold and gets attracted, and the other one gets a little bump after some pullback. So it took me a while to figure that out, that they don't just go together. So um, morning, Pele.
The the miners, uranium processing, mining versus modular reactors and
Yeah.
those newer stock. Yeah, yeah. No, totally with you there. And China, real quick.
There's
Um,
there's China stocks.
Uptrend here, and yeah, there's plenty. There's plenty of opportunities in the Chinese stocks. I think we hit on a couple big names that were good. I still like something like Baba. I know where I buy Baba, and it's still well above that. But I like some of the software companies, and then really shitty ones. Some of those are in a good spot too. The small caps.
Yeah, those are thank you trades, but those are great. They
Yeah,
really
you
are.
just get your sizing. So this, by the way, is a contract switch. So ignore the 11% move. But yeah, I mean lithium. Still, I mean, this is getting to be a pretty big opportunity just to even get to the $15 to $17 area at some point. And yeah, so the lithium's potentially kind of waking up. I think the battery stocks are what I like the most near term because they aren't really that impacted by this, but overall the lithium stocks are going to lag, but they'll catch on to any move in that world.
Yeah, I got one I'm trading, just the range currently. Um,
Yeah.
slower ride, decent range, bigger moves there. I think we're getting it at under 6, and it's gonna go to 12.
10 years still stable, so that's good. That's what you want.
Right.
Um,
We need to get back into that
Potentially could
the
get it.
tens. We need to get back into the tens. That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
We get back into the
And
418, 416, somewhere in there. Not
yep.
necessarily a big dip, but just back in that next bracket down. And I think the market responds well.
Yeah, it definitely, yeah, if this just kind of bleeds out a bit. And then related one, the dollar, I kind of think you want consolidation between 98 and 100 on this. Um, you don't want it to dip too much further, even though that sometimes can pump asset prices. But for market stability and kind of get SPY grinding up and all that, I think you want this to kind of just stabilize a bit. And got to do it.
Yeah, so look at him try to avoid it.
Bitcoin. Yep. So we're a lot closer to your number than my number, but potentially reaching a spot. I mean, maybe 105 is my last chance to not hit your number, and then make a bounce. It probably needs a reason to go to 132, I would think, but we'll just see how long we want to park here. But I do think we maybe get a pretty nasty wick down. We'll just see if it is far enough to your number.
I'm I guess I'm not that foresight. Like Bitcoin, I just pick a direction and pick a spot. So I don't really I'm waiting for my number, that bottom number, to happen before I'll determine my upside. When we do pivot back to the upside, um, it's just TA. It's just TA for me, P. Pretty
Yeah,
simple. I mean,
upside is flow driven.
yeah,
So I but I mean the thing is that a lot of those MSTR and Coin, they just up here that by the hour they'll switch around what they're doing, because you saw in my notes those were all short expiration. But a lot of those the data center ones, Bitcoin could drop to 92,
sure.
and they could stay in those positions, and then you just get the recovery off of that.
Well, we
I
from
think
our time trade, when there was a time when Bitcoin it ran to 70 and it pulled back to 17 and it ran again and whatever. But when we were in
yeah
the prime of the crypto trades, still finding crypto companies and all that, there was a thing, and we don't talk about it much because there's not really a good setup like that responds as well. But we would talk about the divergence in the chart of Bitcoin price movement and the price movement of Mara Riot, yada yada yada, Hut Hive, all that stuff. So I just learned the movement of Bitcoin through that. You know, it's not like I watch that chart or nothing regularly. It's just understanding how price works and needing to know how Bitcoin price works so I could trade crypto stocks. And yeah, it's just I don't know why I can read it so
the
well, but it just is what it is. I mean, I remember when I said it was 40 coming down from that 70, and I was like 17 will still be the perfect entry, and it made it all the way back there. So I mean, that was quite some time ago, but and then it was revisiting that 72 79 number on the last pullback. But you just kind of have the plan and let it play out and kind of watch the chart. This one I have no fucking clue what it does, be.
well, yeah, just real quick on divergence. The last time Bitcoin was was priced here around this 108 spot. MSTR was around $450, and now it's $334. So $100 less. It's diluted quite a bit since then, and they do a lot of goofy shit with financing, buying. It's a company that exists to buy and own Bitcoin, basically. And then it's a software company, but that doesn't really matter. But it's all, yeah, this one is all kind of pivot driven. And coin, I don't have as many pivots, but you get a little bit more of a uh, kind of a pure, maybe even like justified move in coin. And you can see coin here. It had the big drop, but it's just been consolidating for a while. And I would prefer. I don't think it goes to 250. I would prefer like 280. I don't think it will last long, but coin is one that I do look to own shares again. And didn't round trip. I got rid of everything I had. I didn't even clear 400. I think I was like 375 or something like that. But but yeah, I mean, this is one that I do look to re-enter. And I think coin as a company could double from here, um, in 10 years. Or it's one of those. MSTR, I have no clue on their long-term viability of what they're doing. I just, they own a shitload of Bitcoin, and uh, Bitcoin does well, they do well. But coin makes money just on the whole market, and they're the custodian of all these funds that have crypto and all that stuff. So they're the crypto services thesis that we had. And the other one, um, well, I'll just, Square. I mean, I'll just say it is a even better opportunity from where it's at, because I don't think the market's ever really caught up to what it is that they're doing as far as the crypto space goes. So if there's a future there, which I think there is, then they're a huge player in that as well.
Yeah, well, we'll eventually get to that American bald eagle coin. So I'm with you on the future part.
Yeah, yeah,
And then coin 100%. That's not an outlandish statement. It did it from May to August.
yeah. Right. There you go. So,
So
you want to talk a little SPY?
yeah, why not?
I look at this fresh every time, so I don't know if I have anything. Oh, there we go. All right. No, that's too close. So 600, 919. I don't really think that's anything. 585p for March, heavily sold. Um, there's just a ton of dead open interest on my end, and they haven't really boosted anything to complement that. So, and a lot of this goes through October. So I don't anticipate I'll have much for us between now and October as far as big forward-looking positions in SPY options. So I think more of the same. Um, so no big thesis change on what the market is. I don't know what you call it, fireworks and
Yeah,
uh,
I'd say broad frothy. It's frothy. I think the
yeah,
frothy is the best one right now. It's just
yeah, yeah.
what haven't
And
we got
and so
into?
there's no if with it this frothy, there is not really much of an advantage to building some big new
SPY positions.
hedge within SPY.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because the stocks that are moving
yeah.
aren't in that at all.
Yeah, I
Six.
mean they're so
Go ahead.
they could wake this one up, like the 585 March. If they wanted to wake that up, it would be 620 November or January, and then I could see that happening. But I don't see that right now.
640. Yeah, so you kind of got to. I mean, if you look at these tops, it's kind of 640 on the weekly right in here. Maybe 637. Where's close? 637. Um, I like this 20 days. It's basically your 1 month average up here. This white line. It's 643. It's a great pivot. Um, if you're trying to kind of have an equal or under overweight spot for a SPY on the daily, that would be a great spot. I don't think we flush below, like it was at 635, but I really don't think the 640 kind of gets tested. Um, Pretty tight range though. Uh, I would say if it was a full week, middle of the month, I'd say we're gonna pick a direction this week. But I think we'll probably bust out another candle that's pretty much inside the last two. Which that's a big range. That's 30 to 47. But I'd double down on that, saying 40's probably not lasting long. Anything under 40.
I mean, especially you spy DGens out there. If you get a bad pre-market look, do not chase that. I mean, that is not worth it. I think the only time, so all right, so you don't trade puts, but I would say that you would you would say that, so you have a bad pre-market. If you want to enter puts there, you have to get that spike, that the fake recovery or whatever,
Okay.
and then then you fade that to just basically revisit
Why
the
wouldn't you just
pre-market
buy
low.
calls? I mean, we're in an
The pre-
uptrend right now. Why wouldn't you just buy calls on that red candle pullback? Wouldn't that isn't it going to flush at the open a
well,
little bit? No.
because you're a bear. You're a bear.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
you're yeah, you're a macro bear.
Yeah. Let that
So
shit go.
you can't buy calls. Yeah.
All right. Load calls and puts at 1 o'clock or 12:30 or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Fuck
yes.
mine.
That's a summary of our entire session is load calls and puts.
Yeah.
Too long didn't read. Load calls
Fast
and
forward to the 50-minute mark, everybody. All right, at 12:37 Pacific time, we're gonna load calls and puts. Dollar each way.
puts.
Ready break. God. Throw the dice down the lane. All right. Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a little hesitant. I think this week's gonna kind of be wasted. When we look back at charts, you're gonna be like, oh, a bunch of nothing happened, this week. You got the end of the summer.
I don't like short weeks.
Well, it's also you got the
So I
school
like
starting. You got school starting in a lot of places, and
yeah.
people like to
Yeah.
take their fucking kids to school, take a little vacation time. It just drags down on the market. You got the last of the summer vacations coming in too. It's just usually not a good. I mean, September. We can say that September is the worst month historically in the market. We can just say that. And so, um, I always am mindful of that leading into it, and then the short week because of Labor Day every year, kind of just sets it up. So.
Mindset someone can have. Well, that's not the worst one, but a bad one that someone can have is you've seen a bunch of stocks move. You didn't get all the move. You didn't get as much of the move as you wanted, and it's like, okay, now this week, now I'm ready. Now I'm gonna get in on stuff. I'm not missing the next thing. And the market 100% does not care that you have some extra time to trade this week. So you don't size up or whatever, just based on, I got some time in front of a chart. Now I'm going to trade. Um, that's that's just not how you do it. I think you have to get a process, and you have to just keep doing the same thing, over and over again. And if the setup's not there, it's not there. I had what, like 9 or stocks in my sector focus, not 18. So, you know, I'm I don't go into the week looking for more or less, but if there's a lot more, and then what it is matters too. Like, so all like when I had SAS a couple weeks ago or a month ago, we saw that with the outcome of that last week. So I don't have like an imminent setup like that this week. So there's still plenty out there, but I don't think you don't just get more aggressive now because things have been good. You just got to be careful.
Yeah, no, I couldn't have said that any better, Pete. And I'm just double down on
Yeah.
the one note I had. You got to perfect before you pivot, even if that perfection is something small.
Yeah.
like 10%. Yeah.
Yep.
With it. Perfect. Ready to work?
Yeah, I'm good. I can just go right into it if we
All
want.
right. Perfect. Like and subscribe, people. Link somewhere.